And then he disappears. Last Tuesday, we stopped seeing him, hearing from him, holds this marathon cabinet session. He's got a bruised hand once again. And then all of a sudden, radio silence, disappears. As I said, very uncharacteristic. This is anomalous. This is not normal. We're used to hearing from Trump in particular every single day. Every day, it's something. He's traveling. He's on a mission. He's on the White House. He's supervising construction. He's golfing. It's always something. We don't hear from him Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Then we find out his whole schedule's canceled. So we're not going to see him Saturday, Sunday. Today, wiped his schedule again. Nothing Monday. Whole week goes by, nothing. Last week, J.D. Vance drops an interview where they're asked about if he would succeed President Trump.
Right. He was asked that question. It's important to remember. He didn't just bust that out of nowhere. He didn't just choose to suddenly say, I think Trump is sick or whatever. It's important to remember that this was like a scheduled, planned, rehearsed, and asked question, not something that he just busted out.
And Vance says, well, if anything happened to President Trump, I would be equipped and fit to step in. Right now, I'm supporting the president, but if anything tragic happened, I would absolutely step in. Friday, Saturday, there start to be these rumors on Twitter that Trump has actually died, that he had a stroke or a series of minor strokes, that they're hiding him intentionally. They're hiding health issues. Maybe it's stress. Who knows what it is, but he's not well. They're obviously hiding him. And maybe they're hiding something more significant, like that he's actually died.
I don't believe they could hide that for long, and I think that they know that they couldn't hide that for long. They being the administration at the White House, of course. So I don't think that they would even try, like Stephen Miller and people like that. I don't believe it for a second. But I do think that he likely had a serious health, emergency. I'm pretty confident that he was in bad shape for a minute there, but I don't know.
The flag has been lowered to half-mast. People say, is that because of the school shooting? Is that because he's passed? Are they getting their arrangements in order? Are they making arrangements for the transfer of power? We haven't seen that in our lifetimes. A president die in office, with the exception of Jack Kennedy. Very few of us, almost none of us, have seen something like this in our lifetimes. And that, we saw it. It happened in public. So when is the last time a president has died privately? I think Franklin Roosevelt died in office. So this is something that is totally outside of our experience. What does that look like? Are they going to go public with it the minute it happens? Does it take days? And so the speculation goes crazy. And this is a story about this. This is from Newsweek. It says, quote, photographs of President Trump departing the White House on Labor Day have been circulated by Getty Images as viral rumors have circulated about his death or serious health issues. False rumors began circulating on social media on Friday after some noted that Trump had not been seen in public for several days. He also had no public events scheduled for the weekend. The images come after the president appeared to respond to the viral rumors on Sunday night in a Truth Social post. He wrote, "Never felt better in my life." Some 158,000 X posts, including the phrase Trump is dead, and 42,000 stating Trump died, had been made as of the morning on Saturday. X users continued posting about the rumor on Sunday, although engagement dropped after Trump was spotted heading to his golf course in Virginia on Saturday. Questions about the president's health were also spurred after new photos showing bruising on the president's hand last week spread on social media. In July, the White House said Trump had been diagnosed with chronic venous insufficiency, which his physician described as benign and common. Trump has no public event scheduled for Monday. It was previously announced in early August that Poland's President Karol Nawrocki would come to the White House for a meeting on Wednesday, September 3rd. So you have all these posts going around. And like I said before, what we would all expect from the president, knowing him, knowing how he operates, his whole MO, we know that if everyone is saying on social media that Trump is dead, one, he would be aware of that.
Absolutely, dude. He knew about Cracker Barrel's logo, somebody pointed out, but didn't know that everybody thought he was dead. Of course of course he knew, without a doubt.
If there are credible news reports about a viral social media phenomenon, in other words, it's not a hoax, it's not botted, and everybody says Trump has died, and in particular, Trump is not well or dead, and they're hiding it, knowing Trump, what you would expect is that he would emerge the next morning. I'll show them. He would emerge the next morning because there's nothing he loves more than to prove the haters and doubters and whatever wrong. What you would expect is that he would be out there bright and early after he wakes up at 4 a.m. because he doesn't poo or pee and doesn't use, sleeps 1 hour per night, and he could run a 3-minute mile and he could bench press 7,000 pounds. You'd expect that he would be out there 5 a.m. Let's go, answering questions until nightfall.
Yeah, the interesting thing about Nick Fuentes is he's not a cult member and that he doesn't fucking like Donald Trump, but he intends to use him as a means to an end and makes fun of the guy, but at the end of the day supports him because he knows that he can get more darker skinned people put in concentration camps if he does, But
he didn't. They said that he was going to golf, and the press was put all...
Yeah, it sounds like that took some people by surprise. So let me just show you a couple of clips from Fuentes to kind of round out Fuentes' position on Trump. Here's a fairly recent one. I don't think I've played this one on my channels before, but this is mid-July 2025.
I'm done playing these games. I just see these people. And for somebody that's been doing it for not even as long as him, but I've been doing this for 8 years since the first Trump administration started. I've seen it for so long, and Trump's just not getting it right. And I just shake my head. I see these people. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to make our voice heard. We're going to tell them we really don't want an amnesty. And I just shake my head. I'm like, yeah, sorry, I'm not doing it. I won't do it. And I think the only solution is this. We need to burn our MAGA hats. I think that's a solution. That's the only language Trump will understand.
This was a result of Trump saying he wanted to give amnesty to hotel workers and farm workers, immigrants, And Fuentes just fucking hates people who have a darker skin color than, God, I don't know. What's the whitest white that you can imagine? Some kind of a super, then, I don't know, the deepest white that you've ever seen in your entire life. He wants to get rid of everybody except for those people, is the point. And Trump suggesting that maybe we would give amnesty, even though he never intended to, suggesting as much was too much for Fuentes. It was too much for him.
He needs to be abandoned at this point. You bombed Iran. You're talking about an amnesty for illegals. And people say, well, maybe he'll do it. Maybe he won't. It doesn't. You shouldn't be talking about an amnesty. You said mass deportations. Now you're talking about we're going to let these illegals stay in our country and take our jobs. What was the point of any of it? And then before we can even digest that crap, now he's going to tell us there's no Epstein black book. There's no client list. The message needs to be this. We're done. We don't understand. The radical right is fucking furious. We are done. Forget the midterms. Forget 28. Fuck you, fuck Vance, the GOP, all of it. We're not getting anything. The corporations got their tax cut. Israel got their bombing campaigns. We're building military bases for them right now.
Remember, he fucking hates Israel because because it has Jews in it. And he, of course, can't fucking stand Jews, so.
And what do we get? Illegal immigrants get to keep the jobs they took. We get another war, and we get a brazen lie about how our government is controlled by a blackmail ring from a foreign intelligence agency. So I'm burning my MAGA hat. I didn't vote for Trump, but I'm burning my MAGA hat. I think other people should too. I'm going to post a video later tonight. And
for what it's worth, first of all, I don't believe that he posted that video, as far as I know. And second, he did this exact same thing before the election, before Trump won or whatever, in an attempt to push Trump into certain positions, because Fuentes and his weird little nutcases are known by Donald Trump. They've been invited to attend events at the White House and at Mar-a-Lago and stuff like that. They are very, very familiar with Fuentes, the Trump administration is. So Fuentes, this is just him trying to push people in a direction. That's all this is.
Away, 500 feet away from where he was. And we don't get a video. We get these blurry photographs. They're not up close and personal like normal. They're not on the golf course. Nobody seems to have access to him. There's no photos of him. other than these very blurry photos from hundreds of feet away where the press was restricted to. And in the blurry photos, it's hard to tell what they show, but he doesn't look great. Although you can't draw any conclusive insights from this because they're not good photos, and that seems to be by design. What's happening at the same time is that all of his surrogates are posting old photos of him.
Yeah, like that was really weird, right? Don't post old photos. Just don't post anything. It was so like they were adding to the conspiracy, and I have no clue why. It made it seem more likely that Trump was dead to me, that his surrogates were were posting pictures in 2023. Like what?
And they're all getting community noted. People are posting old videos and pictures of him with a pro golfer that he golfed with last year. And it seems like a calculated deception. So that people say, oh, that's from today? Oh, okay, I guess it was nothing.
And it makes me wonder if Trump asked them to do that. Trump asked them to post pictures of him from before. Why would they do that? It made it look more obviously fake. What other reason could they possibly have? Like, just assume for a moment that Donald Trump really had died, okay? Assume for a moment he really had died. And these people are posting pictures of Trump from 2023 and saying, look, he's alive. What do they stand to gain from that? What was the goal? What were they trying to do? What was the end result of that? I believe that, I mean, I don't understand how this could have happened or why or what they were thinking or whatever, but I don't see a situation in which, like, this doesn't make sense unless Donald Trump or his team explicitly, intentionally, specifically asked them to post shit about him. Like, under what circumstance would they have done that otherwise? I just don't get it.
But the photos weren't from today. There were no photos like that from today, from yesterday. Today, they posted a photo of him with another golfer, and there's some anomalies about it. It appears to be manipulated in some way. The photo shows a mirror, and in the mirror, an artifact that is in the backdrop of the photo is not present in the mirror, which people pointed out. His smile looks...
Did the Trump administration give these people images to circulate? Is that what it was? And they were like, oh, well, I got this from like the White House press office, so obviously it's safe, and I'm breaking news, so I might as well. Is that what happened? I don't understand why they would have posted something like that that's so obviously fake unless it was like intentional. What's the reasoning? I want to understand,
slightly different. His eyes are barely open. It's hard to know.
It seems like they wanted the conspiracy to go further and harder, the Trump administration. Why didn't he just come out and admit to whatever? I think it's because he wanted to build the media attention to a fever pitch and then use that fever pitch to announce some psychotic shit. That's the type of shit that Trump has always done to manipulate the media. That's his MO. And that's why I didn't even bother watching the announcement, because I think it was like part of Trump's like ultimate plan to gain more media attention. I don't think that he intended to pretend that he had died. I just think that when he saw that moment on social media, he was like, hey, I can use this. That's what it seems like to me. I don't know.
In the era of AI and some of these softwares where you can manipulate images, if it's even real, who knows? It's probably real, but honestly, who knows? They cleared a schedule today, and now tomorrow they say there's going to be some announcement at the White House. Now, it's all speculation, okay? Everything that I just told you is all speculation. This is a narrative. We engaged in narrative construction. We looked at a bunch of unrelated things, and it's really circumstantial evidence. One thing is not necessarily related to the other. Why is he talking about heaven? Maybe the gravity of it all is finally weighing on him. They did shoot him in the head last year, after all. Why are his calves swollen? Maybe it is a benign health condition. He's 80 years old. Why has he not been seen for a week?
See, this type of shit right here tells me that Nick Fuentes knows exactly what he's talking about and what he's doing and saying, and is just a monster. That's what this tells me. Tells me that he's just a monster, and he knows full well.
maybe he needed a break. Maybe he's tired. He's an old man, So we're creating a narrative, and maybe there's something there, and maybe there isn't. I would say what stands out to me is that we just haven't seen him for this long. And that to me is extremely atypical and very abnormal and very suspicious. Because, like I said, the most bizarre aspect of all of this is I don't believe we've ever not heard from him for this long. And if people thought he was dead, it's uncharacteristic that he would not go out there to prove everybody wrong. And what it looks like is some sort of cover up. It looks like they hid him away. People started to notice. They panicked. They rushed him out in front of the cameras, but not too close because he's still not 100%. And they showed another picture today. Maybe it's edited. Maybe it isn't. Maybe he's looking a little better. But something happened last week. Something happened that they don't want people to know about. That's what it looks like to me.
That's what I thought. But after thinking about it and hearing Nick Fuentes break all of this down, I'm actually kind of leaning more toward there was nothing wrong all along. And he just wanted to capitalize on the media attention. I don't know. Also, saying he was shot in the head is very obviously about as disingenuous as it gets. He was shot in the ear at best. And Fuentes knows that, but it sounds more metal if you say shot in the head. Sounds more heroic, more propagandistic. But, that doesn't surprise me to hear Fuentes saying things like that.
Something medical. And I saw a thread on Twitter, and it's speculative, but it is interesting. Some are speculating that he suffered a series of mini strokes or has been suffering a series of mini strokes. Maybe suffered a major one last week.
I wouldn't be surprised to find that out.
It's a going theory. We'll have to see what his schedule looks like. If he gives an announcement tomorrow and he's completely normal, then this is all bogus. And this is another instance of the internet going crazy. Maybe something happened and they did successfully fix him or get him in front of a camera. We'll see on Wednesday. He's going to meet with the head of state. If they keep that meeting, if he's on his game, if he's sharp, then, like I said, maybe nothing happened, maybe something happened, and it wasn't a big deal. Here's the issue, though, in my book. To me, the obvious comparison, which you can't help, it's unavoidable, is that this just so stinks like the Biden administration, doesn't it? And I've been really on Trump this year because, look, the mass deportations are not happening. The war.
I'm sorry, what are you smoking? Mass deportations aren't happening? Who told you that? Where'd you hear that? Of course they are. They're violent and horrifying and evil. We literally have a concentration camp in Florida. But even more disturbing is the concentration camp in El Salvador. That shit is as disturbing as it gets. If Trump had been smart, he would have worked his way up to the El Salvador thing. That shit is fucking horrifying. The El Salvador stuff, that exists in the first place, and that people from the United States are being sent there, even by mistake. Jesus Christ, dude. And you're telling me that this stuff is not happening? This is the darkest period in American history ever. I'm trying to think. There was the Trail of Tears. There was the genocide against Native Americans. That was pretty fucking dark. And now there's the ethnic cleansing of refugees in the United States and concentration camps and work camps. I mean, damn. It's hard to tell. I guess the genocide is worse than the ethnic cleansing. So maybe second worst moment in U.S. history? Would you guys say that? There was a whole give black people crack to undermine civil rights. That's true. There was that. That is true. Thanks for that, Reagan. You know what? Out of curiosity, let's see. The 5 darkest moments in American democracy, American history. Let's see if we can get slavery and the transatlantic slave trade are pretty bad. 1619 to 1865. That's bad. But I don't think that's, I guess, is that up there with genocide? That's probably up there with genocide, right? The transatlantic slave trade is, slavery and genocide are just as bad, I would say, yeah. Japanese American internment. So Trail of Tears, Native American removals, number 2. Civil War and its aftermath is number 3. Japanese American internment is number 4. And then the January 6th insurrection is number 5. I would say this moment right here, sending people to the El Salvadoran concentration camp, I would say it's number 3. It ranks above Civil War and its aftermath and above Japanese American internment. But I think the Civil War is more complicated. That's not what I meant when I said darkest moments. A war will always be a dark moment, of course. But I wasn't talking about wars. I was talking about the dark things that like leaders did with with little to no pushback, basically. So I would say slavery is number 1, Trail of Tears is number 2, number 3 is El Salvadoran prison. Number 4 is Japanese American internment. Number 5 is January 6th insurrection. It's pretty fucking bad. I would definitely call this ethnic cleansing. We are doing ethnic cleansing in the United States right now, for sure.
War in Ukraine has not ended. It's actually going on more. Trump is preparing to give Ukraine longer range missiles than.
Oh, man, that's a good point. Somebody said, where do you place Hiroshima and Nagasaki? Damn, those are another couple of dark fucking moments that I forgot about. I guess I would include that in Japanese American internment during World War II. And actually, in retrospect, you know, maybe that should go above. Maybe that should go above this. Above. God, it's hard because is killing worse than slavery or yeah, I mean, I would call the El Salvadoran thing torture and slavery, right? Is killing worse than torture and slavery? I would put them on the same level. Killing, torture, and slavery. And when we reach that point, maybe we need to rank them by how many people were subjected to it. In which case, the slavery bit was the worst moment in American history. Trail of Tears would be second worst, I think. Japanese American internment and the bombs would be third. Excluding war from the equation because that's its own separate category. I would say civilian deaths is what I'm thinking of. Civilian death or torture. So Japanese American internment and the bombs would be number 3. This moment would be number 4. And then January 6th would be number 5, I suppose. Yeah, I think that's how I'd rank it. When George Bush started painting. You think the January 6th insurrection was worse than the El Salvadoran locking up stuff? I was really tempted to categorize everything. I was tempted to categorize the Trump era the same. Like categorize it all together. These are American atrocities, right? Oh, January 6th is number 5. Okay, no, we're on the same page then. Anyway, goddamn, man. We're in a dark moment. For real, we are in a dark moment. And I say this with 100% seriousness. I'm 100% real right now. It's time to start hiding people. Really. If you have a basement and you know somebody that doesn't feel safe, it's time to start hiding people. There was that moment in German history when it was time. Well, it's time in America. It's here.
Biden gave them. Scott Bessent today is complaining about the Russians. We're no closer to a deal. We're going to keep sending Ukraine weapons and better ones, longer range ones.
That's a good thing. It shows that Donald Trump is not Putin's puppet completely. He seems to have realized that Putin doesn't give a fuck about him. I can't believe it took him this long to realize.
We bombed Iran. They buried the Epstein files. I've been really on top of Trump for the policy stuff. And a lot of people say, well, it's been 7 months. And that's a long time, but it also takes time to do things. So people say, well, it's been a lot of time. He doesn't have a lot of options. When it comes to the Russians or the Iranians, they have a say in how that resolves as well. There's a lot of arguments that could be made. But then this happens. And it's like, is this administration like Joe Biden in literally every single way? It's getting impossible to avoid that comparison because the way that MAGA and Trump made it out is that Biden was the Antichrist. He was a puppet. There was this medical cover-up. He started this war in Ukraine. It's World War III. The neocons did that because of their corruption and their recklessness, and they're going to end the world. They're starting many wars. They're supporting the genocide in Gaza. There's no transparency on government secrets. They're bringing in 10 million illegals. It goes on and on and on. They said this is the most important election of our lifetimes. This is going to be a golden age. Trump learned his lesson. Things are going to be different this time. And it's unignorable and unavoidable to compare the two and realize this administration is similar in every way, in every single way so far.
That's interesting, right? It feels like Nick Fuentes has turned against Donald Trump, like fully. Again, he never fully like bought into Trump. He's always been a Nazi first and foremost. He's never been a cult member. But the dude seems to have like really turned against Trump now. I haven't heard a single positive thing from him about Donald Trump in a while now.
Think about it. The Biden administration had the Ukraine war begin in Biden's term.
You mean it started in Biden's term? Not that Biden started it, of course.
Trump has not only not ended it in 24 hours, it's not even slowing down. If anything, it's speeding up. Trump is giving them more weapons. The war in Gaza started under Biden. Under Trump, it accelerated. We bombed Yemen more in 1 month than Biden did in a year. We bombed Iran directly, whereas Biden refused to do so twice when the Israelis and Iranians confronted each other. Trump is sending 2,400 soldiers off the coast of Venezuela with missile carriers and destroyers.
By the way, guys, check out my new shop, owenmorgan.com/shop. I have a bunch of really cool designs on there.
Yep, he is a pro-war president, and he wants the Nobel Peace Prize, bizarrely. Like, it's really, really wild, some of the shit that Donald Trump comes up with in his just demented brain. Like, I don't get it.
And it seems like is pursuing regime change there. Yet another war. Last month, the DOJ covered up the Epstein files. They didn't kick the can down the road. They didn't procrastinate. It's not that we didn't find anything. They actively covered it up and said, there's nothing else to see here. There's no one else to investigate. There are no tapes. There are no files. Case closed. And now we don't see Trump for a whole week at all. He's clearly sick. Something's going on because he's old. They're not being forthcoming about it. His calves are swollen. He can't walk in a straight line. His hand is bruised. It's slathered in foundation. Then he disappears for a week. And when everyone says he died, they roll him out with the journalist 500 feet away taking blurry photographs. And they say, see, he's fine. See, look, it's totally okay. And people defend this. Why don't you keep that same energy? What happened during Biden's term when people said, where's Hunter? Where's Hunter? Biden won't campaign. He's hiding in his basement. They're hiding Joe Biden in his basement. He cleared his schedule today because he's only awake 3 hours and it's all his advisors running the show. Where's that energy now?
Yeah, and by the way, Biden is still alive. He was perfectly capable of doing the job. I don't believe for a second that Biden was ever too sick to do the job or too demented or out of it or whatever. The dude was fine. Seriously. He had a moment in a debate, in a 2-hour debate, where he couldn't think of a word. The word was like Medicaid or something like that. Every other answer he gave in that debate was perfectly fine. But those 30 seconds were what did it. Seriously.
We haven't seen Trump in a week. With no explanation.
I don't believe Biden should have dropped out. I was on the fence. I didn't think it was a wise decision, but it wasn't my decision anyway. Completely out of my hands, so I'm just kind of along for the ride. I think it was foolish of Biden to drop out. And, you know, hindsight is 20/20 or whatever, so I guess everyone else probably thinks that too. I'm just saying, like, Biden wasn't that bad off. Seriously. Biden was not that bad off. It was propaganda that the left fell for, that people fell for. That's okay. You know, we all fall for shit. I fall for shit all the time. But be more discerning in the future. Look harder. Ask yourself in the future, is this real or is this manufactured? Because they manufacture shit like this all the time. The Republicans do, I mean, and Democrats. People manufacture this shit all the time.
No one knows what's going on. No one has we don't know what's going on with this health condition that they're concealing. We don't know why we haven't seen him in a week. It feels like we're being lied to, and no one's got anything to say. All the MAGA dick riders are coming out and saying, oh, I can't believe the left is wishing for Trump to die. Isn't that a bit of a diversion? Isn't that a cop-out? a dodge. Of course, I want the president to recover. I pray for him. He's the leader of our country, whatever you think about him. And I care about
Did you say that about Biden?
him as a man. I do believe, in spite of some of the things that have happened, this is a beast of a man. This guy's a lion. So I am praying for him to recover. But isn't that a little bit besides the point? Where is this guy? Why don't you care? And it's like this with everything. Do you think that if Biden bombed Iran, do you think that Trump supporters would be making excuses for it? You think they'd be saying Biden bravely bombed Iran and destroyed their nuclear program without a major war? They'd be calling him a neocon. They'd be saying he's the candidate of World War III. It goes on and on.
I appreciate that Nick Fuentes cuts through the trash, the propaganda, and the lies. He's absolutely on point about that. But don't forget that this guy is a literal self-proclaimed Nazi, a Hitler-loving, Jew-hating, Sieg-heiling Nazi.
Think that if the war went on for another year under Kamala Harris and she was sending Ukraine longer-range weapon systems, do you think that any Trump supporter would be making excuses and saying, well, it's only been 7 months and that's very complicated and we got to get Putin to the... Of course not. Of course not. They'd be attacking her all day. Epstein files. Do we even need to go there? What if the Epstein files were buried under Kamala? Would there be a single person standing that would defend her on our side? Absolutely not. But Trump gets away with all of it. Bomb Iran, accelerate the war in Ukraine, cover up for Epstein. And then in the end, it's like Biden levels of Weekend at Bernie's to add insult to injury. And Johnny MAGA and Cat Turd and Scott Pressler and Jack Posobiec and all the usual suspects, they're right there on Twitter to defend this.
Yeah, they're cult members, of course. Everybody knew that they were cult members. Are you just realizing that these are cult members, Nick? Is this like your first time seeing this, first time realizing this? Of course they're cult members.
And this is where, here's the best part. I call this out and people say that I'm becoming left-wing. Have you seen this? People say now that I'm liberal. The Democrats are making a play to support the Groypers, and I'm left-wing, and I changed. I did not change. You changed.
Yeah, he's absolutely correct, actually. Hey, welcome, KJ Doglove. Glad to see you.
I didn't leave the right. The right left me in 2016.
No, Nick Fuentes was never really, in line with the right. Okay, Nick Fuentes has always been a Nazi, and the right has never, as an institution, fully been there as, Nazis. Even now, the right is made up half of Zionists and half Nazis. It's a lot more Nazis now than it was before, but they've never been fully in line with Nick Fuentes. I don't think the right left Nick Fuentes. They've just, they're moving closer toward him. They've always been cult members. I've said this before, but Fox News is the real problem here. Fox News is the problem. When Trump dies, we're still going to have a Fox News problem. It's still going to be there. They created this. They created the suit that Trump stepped into. In an identical way to the media in Germany in the 30s, they created the suit that Hitler stepped into. It was an inevitability that some nutcase is going to step into that suit eventually, sooner rather than later. This is, in my experience, this seems to be how extremist dictatorships form.
When they threw Hillary Clinton's limp body into a van on 9/11, I thought that was very weird.
What? They threw Hillary Clinton into a van on 9/11? I'm not sure what he's talking about. Anybody have any clue what he's talking about?
In 2020, when Joe Biden was obviously mentally incompetent,
I don't believe he was.
I thought it was a disgrace when they made him the president. And I didn't support the war in Ukraine, and I didn't support America's policy towards Gaza. And I don't support that Trump has this health condition. They're covering it up. I don't support that he's continuing the war in Ukraine, and I don't support that he's bombing Iran for Israel.
He doesn't like Israel. He doesn't like Jews. He thinks Jews are like the bane of everyone's existence. That's why he has a problem with what Israel is up to, not for any kind of moral stand or any of that stuff.
So who changed here? Who pivoted? Who went in a weird direction?
it was always about supporting Donald Trump, bottom line. And Nick has moral consistency. I'll give him that. It's just his moral consistency leans toward killing Jews and hating black people and women and whatever. That's the problem.
I didn't become left wing. You became just like the people you purport to oppose. Isn't it weird? All those people that said, where's Hunter? Where's a laptop? Where's Joe Biden? Suddenly crickets. When Trump disappears for a week, when he's got an issue, they got nothing to say. Oh, he's aging in reverse. No, he's not. And that's insane. If you, honest to God, look at a picture of Trump like these people do and say, incredible, he's aging in reverse. Like, you have lost the plot. You have gone insane.
They were always insane.
We are through the looking glass when Trump supporters are saying, he's fine. He's fine. Ignore the giant foundation on his hand. Ignore the swollen calves. Ignore the fact they disappeared for a week and then they did this weird cover-up where they took pictures from Baltimore of him at the White House, practically. And it just goes to show, I am right-wing. I am America first. Am I the only principled person left? Am I the only Trump supporter or former Trump supporter that will apply America first to Israel? Am I the only former Trump supporter that will hold Trump to the same standards as Joe Biden?
Yeah, the dude's completely given up on Trump. That's fascinating. I should definitely cover this on my channel, right? You know what? I'm gonna... Wow, it's almost over. All right, well, we'll keep listening and I'll come back to it later.
And obviously I'm very right-wing, but maybe more than anything, I'm a free thinker here.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely, I agree. It's just your free thinking of ways to revive Hitler's Germany here in America is all.
I'm not owned by the GOP. I am not beholden to the GOP in any way. I don't take money from the GOP, not over the table, not under the table. Everyone knows that. I've been disavowed by the GOP. Fuck the GOP. I'm not beholden to Trump. When I like him, I like him. When I don't like him, I don't like him. And unlike all these other people, I'm one of the only ones that can say that. Every other one of these influencers and politicians, they can't say that because they want to have access. They want to get their photo op in the White House. They want to get their picture next to the president. They don't want to lose their next primary race. They don't want their network to lose access to the briefing room, and on and on and on. I have emerged as one of the only people that is even capable on the right wing because I'm the only one that hasn't built my brand. I haven't created some grift out of riding the president's coattails and everything and anything he says and defending everything and anything he does. I'm one of the only people that created something completely independent from that. And so if I don't like it, I can say that. And most of my audience, a surprising majority, is going to ride with me rather than with him.
That's true. That's because Nick represents Nazis, and a lot of the things that Trump is doing right now support Zionism, and because that's the most obvious route to authoritarianism right now in the United States, supporting certain Zionistic kind of principles or whatever, like justifying taking funding from universities because they're whatever, you know, they're allowing protests to Israel, and they're doing this shit under the guise of anti-Semitism. So that's absolutely true. Interesting.
And I think that's necessary because I'm going to be the first one to say it. This is a sinking ship, you guys. This is a sinking ship.
Yep, I completely agree. It is. There is no successor to MAGA. When Trump kicks it, that's it. Like, there's nobody to take over for him. No logical successor. You know, Kim Jong-un was trained and groomed in a non-sexual way, hopefully, by his dad to take over once his dad died. And he was the logical next step, like the logical next person in line to take control. And he did. So in our situation right now, there is no next person. There is no, you know, person that like steps in to take control on Trump's behalf or whatever. There is nothing like that. When when Trump dies, MAGA is in some real trouble. That being said, the organization that made the suit that Trump put on is going to try to create another suit. I don't think it's not going to be easy, certainly, and I don't know if it's going to work after what Donald Trump did. After completely fucking everybody over that way, after literally sending people to concentration camps for protesting. I don't know that Fox News is going to be able to get away with it, with creating a new suit like that. And I think a lot of people are going to spend the rest of their lives in prison. A lot of Trump sycophants that aided this, Scott Bessent, Pam Bondi, Elon Musk. I think these people are, when the pendulum swings, are going to spend the rest of their lives in prison. And the rest of their lives is a long time, in my opinion. So we'll see how things play out. But Nick Fuentes is correct in pointing out that this is just a fad. That there are cult members, but when the cult leader dies, the cult dies. Look at Heaven's Gate. The Heaven's Gate cult is gone. It's gone. Doe is gone. Marshall Applewhite. And there are no believers anymore. We all look back at the Heaven's Gate cult as the sick extremists that they were. I mean, as the pitiful, sad nutcases that they were. The people that needed help desperately and never got it. We all look at the Heaven's Gate people as people who were suckered into believing something so hard that they literally checked out as a group. And that's how Trump supporters are going to be viewed. In our lifetimes, we will see that day, sooner rather than later. Trump is 79. How long does he have? He's never eaten healthy. What has he got? He's got maybe 5 years at most. What's the average lifespan of somebody with CVT? So chronic venous, CVI? Chronic venous insufficiency? What's the average lifespan of somebody who's diagnosed with that at 79? And by the way, you know it's worse than it is. It's worse than they're telling us, than the White House is announcing. If they felt the need to announce that, you know it's worse. What's the average lifespan of somebody with CVI at 79 years old who eats KFC and McDonald's for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? The answer is somewhere around 4 years. So somewhere around 2 to 5 years, I believe, from this point forward. I will be surprised if he makes his way all the way through his term. But if he does, I don't believe he's going to have much longer than that. I honestly believe that the guy has 1 foot in the grave and 1 on a banana peel at this point. Truthfully, I really believe that. And it's only a matter of time before things go sideways for him. I think that they're probably already going sideways. And when that happens, the pendulum will swing. The pendulum has already swung. And all of these people are going to spend the rest of their lives in prison. Have you seen the results of every single special election that's taken place since Trump won? Have you guys seen what that looks like? Every special election that takes place has flipped districts to the left. They were right-wing districts, cleanly safe right-wing districts. Some of them, anyway. And it flipped them to the left. Trump's election did. What Trump is doing right now. It feels dark at this moment because it is fucking dark right now. But that pendulum swings. The further right, the far right goes, the further, or the harder the left pushes back. That's how it works. That is how it has always worked in the United States. And that's how it's going to work in future elections. Do you know why they're trying to take like 10 seats or whatever in gerrymandering in Texas? Do you know why they're doing that? Because they know they're fucked. They can cheat to their heart's content with gerrymandering, but I honestly do not think that it's going to make a difference. I think they are fucked. I really do. We can look at polls all day and all night that say Republicans are winning that or Democrats are winning this or whatever. But I believe Republicans are fucked. So we'll see what happens. I went on a little tirade there.
Because newsflash, the storm clouds are rolling in over Iran all over again. Pay attention. You'll see it. The war in Ukraine, that's not stopping anytime soon. And when it does, we're going to lose. This debt keeps getting higher. Interest rates making it very expensive to support that debt. We're going to have to get rid of it somehow. We're going to monetize it. That means more inflation. It's going to be a bumpy landing for this economy. If it ever comes down, I think it's going to get ugly here. And look, he's losing people, man. Yes, he's got a 90% approval rating among Republicans, but look at his approval with 18 to 25s. Look at his approval rating with independents. It's nothing but down. And their next trick, their next act, is they think that they can shepherd all the Trump supporters to become Vance sycophants. That's their next trick.
Absolutely not going to happen.
Now for something completely different, they think, and on some level, they can get away with Trump because people have an emotional connection to him. It is a true to form, call to personality, the charismatic leader. They can get away with that, and they can get a lot of mileage out of that. It's durable. But now they think that as Trump declines and bows out, whether that's in the appointed time, the 4 years, or if it's earlier, they think they're going to be able to get everybody behind Vance, and they're just not.
Yep, I agree.
They couldn't get people behind DeSantis because he just sucks. And they're not going to be able to get him behind Vance, this weird-ass, weirdo Manchurian candidate who came out of nowhere. He may become the president tomorrow. He may become the president in a year. They're going to get behind him for president in 2028. And who the fuck even is this guy? 3 years ago, he's a never-Trumper. 3 years ago, he wasn't even in the U.S. Senate. He had some no-show job at Peter Thiel's venture capital firm. And who the fuck is Peter Thiel? The Antichrist? Just ask him. Is he on Team Humanity even?
No, the answer is no. Peter Thiel explicitly and specifically says he wants humanity to go extinct. Seriously, he says that, quote unquote. I actually have that clip, I think. Here you go. This is Peter Thiel saying he's not Team Humanity.
Or do you think it's just hype? Do you think people are trying to raise money by pretending that we're going to build a machine god, right? Is it hype? Is it delusion? Is it something you worry about? I think you would prefer the human race to endure, right? You're hesitating.
Yeah, well,
yes?
I don't know. I would
This is a long hesitation. There's so
many questions implicit in this.
Should the human race survive?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm very uncomfortable with how long it took him to answer that and the number of uhs that were in that answer.
Yes.
Okay.
But
and the fact that there's a but at the end of it.
I also would I also would like us to radically solve these problems.
Right.
And so
no fucking shit. Everybody wants to solve problems. What the fuck why is the but on the end there? What does this but have to do with anything? This dude loves big butts.
It's always, I don't know. Transhumanism is this, the ideal was this radical transformation where your human natural body gets transformed into an immortal.
Anyway, blah, blah, blah. Point is that he's not Team Humanity. And he has also even realized that he's the Antichrist.
This is my very specific question for you, right? Is that
God, this guy is like so fucking disturbing looking. Like, oh yeah, and he's a Nazi, like an actual full-blown Hitler-loving Nazi. He has said there were a lot of problems with the Weimar Republic, which is the government that was overturned by Nazis. And he said the problem with the Nazi movement is that it was a youth movement and that it was made up of violent young men and, it's matured, the Nazi movement has. That maturity has led to more, what's the term I'm looking for here? I don't remember his exact words, but you get the idea. That maturity has led to a more cohesive ideology, basically.
You're an investor in AI. You're deeply invested in Palantir, in military technology, in technologies of surveillance, and technologies of warfare, and so on, right? And it just seems to me that when you tell me a story about the Antichrist coming to power and using the fear of technological change to sort of impose order on the world, I feel like that Antichrist would maybe be using the tools that you were building, right? Like,
so he's just gotten the point that he's being called, like this guy's calling him the Antichrist. He's saying, "Are you the Antichrist?"
Wouldn't the Antichrist be like, great, we're not going to have any more technological progress, but I really like what Palantir has done so far, right?
Yeah,
I mean, isn't that a concern? Wouldn't that be the irony of history would be that the man publicly worrying about the Antichrist accidentally hastens his or her arrival?
There are all these different
these pauses, bro. Okay, look, if you're going to be on these things and be asked these tough questions about how you're the fucking Antichrist, maybe learn how to not pause for 25 fucking seconds when asked if you're the Antichrist.
Scenario. I obviously don't think that that's what I'm doing.
I mean, to be clear, I don't think that's what you're doing either. I'm just interested in how you get to a world willing to submit to permanent authoritarian rule.
Well, but again, there are these different gradations of this we can describe. But is this so preposterous, what I've just told you, as a broad account of the stagnation that the entire world has submitted for 50 years to peace and safetyism? This is 1 Thessalonians 5:3. The slogan of the Antichrist is peace and safety, and we've submitted.
So the point is that he believes that he's the Antichrist, apparently, or something. I don't even fucking know. There are, like, there's this old Greek tradition back in the day when democracy was young. Called what the hell was it called? It was called ostracism. It's called ostracism, where people would, in a democracy, in the youngest democracies on earth, they would vote for whether certain people, like, who is the most harmful person to democracy. You'd vote on who that person was, and you would exile them to an island somewhere. They wouldn't be allowed to leave for like 10 years. They wouldn't be allowed to talk to anybody, or, well, I think they could write letters maybe, but they weren't, like, they couldn't do public oration or whatever other thing. They were removed from democracy completely for like 10 years. We need to bring that back, except for billionaires, where we all vote on who gets to, who has their money taken away. You get to keep $1 million and you get a little chip that says, I won capitalism. And the other $999 million goes to some charity. And you go to an island and you have your cell phone taken away. And you can write letters to friends and family and nobody else for 10 years. I would do that with Peter Thiel, with Donald Trump, with Jerry Seinfeld. He's a billionaire. I don't know if you guys knew that. Let's see. Who else? You know what? Just to make the little nutcases happy, George Soros, too. He gets to sit on an island. Fuck it. Why not, right? Even though he's not doing anything, he's not even involved in anything. I'll lose George Soros because I couldn't possibly care less about the dude. If we can get rid of Peter Thiel, Elon Musk, Trump, Jerry Seinfeld, who could complain about that? Who could disagree with that? Anyway, back to Nick Fuentes here.
Or is he with, like, the robots or the devil or who even knows?
Oh, yeah. Step back here.
Nowhere. He may become the president tomorrow. He may become the president in a year. They're going to get behind him for president in 2028. And who the fuck even is this guy?
I think he's talking about J.D. Vance currently.
Years ago, he's a never Trumper. 3 years ago, he wasn't even in the U.S. Senate. He had some no-show job at Peter Thiel's venture capital firm. And who the fuck is Peter Thiel? The Antichrist? Just ask him. Is he on Team Humanity even? Or is he with, like, the robots or the devil or who even knows? So this is the moment where I'm like, fuck it. I'm out. I'm out. And I know you know that. I mean, I've been out, but I am out. What is this even anymore? Who can defend this? It just gets worse every week. Day one, they said deportations are going to start on day one. We're coming to Chicago. Remember Tom Holman, that nitwit? We're going to come to Chicago on day one, whether they like it or not. And then what happened? Day one, well, it's only been 1 day. We can't do it. Day two, well, it's only been 2 days. It was over before it began. Dude, they put Sriram Krishnam as like an AI czar. Elon Musk was browbeating the Trump supporters on Christmas and New Year's because they didn't want limitless H-1Bs. They made Marco Rubio the Secretary of State. Scott Bessent used to work for George Soros and he's gay. This is our administration. It was cooked from the start.
Wait, Scott Bessent is gay? Is that what he said? I don't believe him. I mean, I don't believe anything Nick Fuentes says, but okay. One more time.
Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State. Scott Bessent used to work for George Soros and he's gay.
Did he work for George Soros? I don't know that that's the case. And is he gay? But whatever. Okay.
This is our administration. It was cooked from the start.
Sign up for my Patreon. I'd really appreciate that very much. It would mean so much to me. This is like a really precarious moment in history, in U.S. history, and for me personally. So it would mean a lot if you sign up for my Patreon. Check out cultarchive.org. I did a cult test, basically, where you can see if you're in a cult. And you can look at the historical tests of other groups that already went through this. Also, check out my merch. I have a whole bunch of really cool shirts and stuff. Really interesting. I would really appreciate that. About to have a fiery conversation with my provider over the bill. God, I fucking hate that. Drives me insane, dude. Like, I guess I don't pay for this anymore now that my wife has a job. She gets medical insurance paid for basically directly through like through her job or whatever. But I was paying $2,500 a month for medical insurance. $2,500 a fucking month, guys. $2,500 a month. And when she got her job, it went up to $3,000 a month, and then they covered an additional amount. Seriously, what the fuck? And they don't cover shit. They don't cover anything. What do they do for me? Like, every fucking time I need to go to a doctor, I have to search through their stupid fucking website to find a provider that will work with me or whatever. And when I find one, I call them up, and they are either 150 fucking miles away, or they're, this is a real thing that I'm outlining here, or they cost $105 per visit, but I'm in tier 1 preferred, which means I have to pay $90 a visit anyway. So they're paying $15 and I'm paying $90. So they're basically paying nothing at all anyway. Or I can't get an appointment until fucking January. That's 100% real. Those 3 scenarios that I just laid out for you are real. Those things really happened. Why am I paying $1,200 fucking dollars a month now for insurance? And again, I'm not actually paying it now. My wife's company is American Atheists, because she works for American Atheists. Why the fuck am I paying for this? What am I getting out of this? What's the point here? I'm not benefiting in any way, shape, or form. I'm certainly not getting $1,200 a month worth of value out of this company, out of my insurance company, I mean. Why the fuck do I even have insurance? What is this for? I don't understand. What's the point here? It, seriously, really infuriates the fucking shit out of me. It is again, I guess I can't bitch because I'm not paying for it anymore since my wife works and insurance is covered as part of her employment contract or whatever. But it is medical care is like a 3-legged stool. You can either have good care, cheap care, or fast care. Pick 2. You can pick 2. It's a triangle, I suppose. Well, the United States saw that triangle and saw that triangle and said, fuck it. I don't want any of those 3. Forget all 3 of them. It's just, God, dude, we are so fucked in the United States with medical care. Really. I know that Nerico wasn't here to listen to that whole tirade, that whole rant, but just know that I'm with you in spirit. I am just as unhappy as you with medical care right now. It drives me fucking insane.
And it just keeps going. No mass deportations, no end to the war in Ukraine. We're bombing Iran. They're saying we'll do it again. Buried the Epstein files and covered it up for weeks. We're now against Thomas Massie for some reason because it's like an open cover-up of Pedophile Island. And now he's fucking sick. Now he's hiding in his basement like Joe Biden. And we're supposed to say, our glorious president is aging in reverse. It's a miracle. He's Benjamin Button. It's totally insane. It's totally insane. And these people need a reality check. At this point, it's doing more harm than good. It's just damaging. So that's my position on the whole thing. Maybe he's going to come out tomorrow and he's going to be fine. I still don't like it. Something's up. You know it. I know it. It's obvious. I don't know what they're going to announce tomorrow. Maybe he'll be back and he'll be fine.
He took the opportunity to announce that, because this is before the announcement, he intends to invade Chicago with federal troops, even though it's illegal, even though it was determined to be illegal by the courts, that he cannot just go into a state and nationalize their National Guard without an emergency as a reason for doing so. You can't just go do that. The Supreme Court made that decision recently, and he's completely ignoring it. Just throwing it right out the window. Means nothing to him. Trying to get that damn thing. There we go. Nature's Claw. Got it. Anyway, it's embarrassing and horrifying and disgusting what we're witnessing right now. But as I said previously, the pendulum will swing back the other direction. It will. Stick it out. Come together as a community. Right now, it's more important than ever that we work together as a community. If you have a basement that has an empty space, it's time to hide people right now. If you can manage it, do it and stick it out until we come out the other side. And when we do, all of these people are going to spend the rest of their lives in prison.
Maybe he's stepping down. Who knows? It's really weird.
When I say pendulum, somebody says not if they cut the pendulum off the chain. When I say pendulum, I mean public feeling about what's happening right now. The public is not happy about what's going on. And it's a matter of time before shit really falls apart for Donald Trump. Like, I can't believe that there hasn't already been some violent uprising. But our institutions are very strong, generally. Even though Trump is completely ignoring our institutions, a lot of other people aren't. And Trump relies on the goodwill of others to execute his orders and things. So the pendulum will swing the other direction. Our elections are controlled by the states, not the federal government. Trump can only do so much to limit the... Look at this. It's completely spazzing out again. It's interesting. Doing this earlier too. It's on the states to make sure that their laws are executed faithfully and everything. So we'll see what happens.
It's obvious. I don't know what they're going to announce tomorrow. Maybe he'll be back and he'll be fine. Maybe he's stepping down. Who knows? It's really weird. Something is off here. Everyone knows that. And under any ordinary circumstance, this crowd would be all over it because this crowd is insane, you know?
The MAGA crowd, I guess. Yeah.
They thought that Trump was the shadow president for 4 years at Guantanamo Bay.
That's QAnon, yep.
Giving Hillary Clinton the death penalty. And we don't see Trump for a week and people are saying, I'm sure that's fine. Like, it's all wrong, dude. It's all messed up.
Yeah, I couldn't possibly agree more. Yes, 100%. Wow. Anyway, let me know what you think about it in the comments. It seems like Nick Fuentes is genuine in the fact that he's a Nazi and is really honest when he says he wants to fucking murder people of a darker skin color. So I can appreciate the honesty at least, but, the dude makes me sick. Tell me what you think about it in the comments.